Hey everyone, Guy here from Total Geek Live, along with the rest of the gang, B, Danny, and Kaiser. So we're gonna do a little bit of a Wayback Machine for you guys, and we're gonna talk about the good old days in our new segment, Cana Geeks. Not Can of Geeks, as I thought before, but no, it's Cana Geeks.
Oh, we could be a can of geeks.
Oh, we could. Maybe a bucket or a barrel. We do have options for storage.
Are we monkeys too?
Sea monkeys, bucket of monkeys.
Sea
Okay.
monkey dude.
Anyway, so for Cana Geeks, we're going to talk about growing up in a small town and what it was like for us. But we're going to keep it relatable, so you can, even if you didn't grow up in Corsicana, you can be like, "Oh yeah, I remember that." So what we're going to talk about is the good old video store days.
Oh, I remember that.
I'm glad because you were there. But actually, John and I worked in. Actually, John and I worked in video stores, and in fact, for a little bit of fun, showed this on social media. This was my official Blockbuster video name badge. And as I was digging further into the archive, I found some of my old membership cards from Blockbuster deep within the archives.
Yeah, I left my badge there. When I walked away, I was done. Although I loved my time at Blockbuster. I also worked at Movie Gallery.
That was post Movie Land.
So Movie Land became Movie Gallery?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm like, was there two of them?
It moved on. I think Movie Land was independent. Movie Gallery was part of a chain.
Ah, okay.
Now,
So
before we get into it, I have a confession I need to make.
Okay.
For you.
Didn't know it was this kind of video, but sure.
Well, if any of you who rented games from Movie Land, I used to, if I couldn't afford to rent the game at the time, to check out a game, you just brought the box cover up to the front, and then they check it out. So if I couldn't afford it, I would just take the box home, and then when I had money, go in and rent it. So if there was a game you were like, why is it always out? It might have been my fault.
Oh!
You're basically holding a game hostage.
Yeah.
So instead of putting it behind...
Until you could...
But,
okay, you weren't actually taking the game home.
No, just the
and
box.
not paying for it.
No, just
you
the
were
box.
just reserving the game. It was still in the store, so there's no theft involved.
No.
You were just doing a long-term reserving of said game until you could afford to rent it yourself.
Yes, but in doing I wasn't thinking of, other people who might have wanted to rent the game.
Are we gonna have
you were a teenager.
Teenagers
hardly ever think of other
people. I was preteens.
Oh,
probably,
well,
so.
even so. Yeah.
So in short, you were a hooligan. Okay.
Yeah,
I just needed to get that off my chest.
Yep.
I'm glad that this burden has been
You
lifted.
feel better?
I do.
You like to go around and smoke with cigarettes and do hood rat stuff?
No, I never did any of that, but, when it came to my
it's fun to do bad things, yo.
So, for those who are tuning in who are probably too young to remember the video store, it hasn't been too terribly long, but, it's growing to be an outdated concept these days. So, you didn't ever get everything on Hulu or Netflix or anything like that, or watch all your videos on YouTube. You actually had to go out and socialize with other people to, get your video fix. And this was like actually a whole social activity. And if you've never seen physical media, especially if it's not DVD or Blu-ray, this is a VHS tape. Stare at its beauty. It's beautiful. It actually does have tape. Check this out. Badow. So we used to rent these all the time. So yeah, there were a couple places in our hometown, one of which was called Movie Land, which it was primarily known for, and then of course became Movie Gallery, which is more of a chain. Blockbuster, pretty much everybody knows that because that was everywhere. Yeah, you go out on Friday night, Saturday night, and go rent movies, unless John was hoarding them behind the counter.
But yeah, I mean, it was so, not to cut you off there, but it was so prevalent in our culture at the time that as small of a town as this is, we didn't just have Movie Land and Movie Gallery. We had Planet Video, Color Time at the time rented movies, and then there was the place next to Cinemark that rented movies. That
Right.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Was it Curtis Mathis that did that?
I want to say
Yeah, I think-
yes.
It was.
Yeah, I think it was Curtis
That was
Mathis.
the booklet from last week, to be sure.
Right. So we
But,
had your options of video rental stores.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, it all started out with primarily VHS tapes. That was always the big thing, and then it went on to DVD, and then Blu-ray before it finally called it quits. All the movie stores have folded, and especially in our little town, which I would think they would have a better chance of surviving, but unfortunately no. And of course, there's Redbox and things where you can still kind of get a very video rental experience light, but it's just not the same. And it was really cool for it.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, half of the experience of, hey, let's go rent a movie tonight. Half of your night was walking around the store, picking up and looking at the boxes,
Hoping that there's a copy there.
right?
Oh yeah, especially for the new releases. You're running to the new releases and looking on the shelf to see if there was one there.
And
or
if there
they
wasn't,
all
and he
checked
ran
out.
and he asked, "Hey, did someone drop off?
Yeah, the deposit box. Check that deposit box for me right now.
Ooh, what did they just drop off?"
Drop-off box.
There were like entire walls devoted to one movie. There'd be like 60 copies of Jurassic Park. 60 copies, and like it'd all be rented out, which was crazy.
Yeah.
So, just out of curiosity, how many of you guys spent a lot of time checking out all the horror movie covers? Was that like your usual go-to, where you just, even if you couldn't rent these because we were too young, it's like you had to see all the covers?
The April Fool's Day.
Yeah.
Chopping Mall.
Violent Night, Deadly Night.
My Deadly Friend.
Faces of Death.
Oh, Faces of Death. Yeah.
Was it Movieland the only place in town that carried Faces of Death though? Like Blockbuster.
Blockbuster
had
would
that
carry
back-
it. None of the chains. None of the chains
Blockbuster
would.
wouldn't, because they were a broad general entertainment, but the independent stores like Movieland would. Of course, they also had that little back curtained area.
The swinging doors.
Yeah, the swinging doors. Yep.
Yeah. So
That's where the older people went.
yeah, they later had out of town video stores for that kind of film. Side of that, but yeah, that was a thing. Now, when I said that the video store was an experience, it really was, because it wasn't just I went there to go rent a video. That's not what we did. For a while, the guy who owned it, his name was John, not this John, but there was a yogurt place that was attached to it, and then of course the big thing. It shifted two areas, but there was probably one of the best arcades that we had in town.
Yes.
Oh yes.
It took over the area where like the yogurt place used to be, and then it like went over to the complete opposite side of the store. And so, what were some of your go-to games there?
I remember there being this really cool 3D projector game where you were like this little
Time
time traveler.
Yeah.
Yeah, by Sega.
Yeah.
And man, I loved. I think it cost like $2 a game to play or something. It was something outrageous.
And
but
you would die
just the
instantly
fact
because
that
the
it was
controls were not
you had
very
7
responsive.
seconds of gameplay for $2.
Yes, but it was the technology behind it was so awesome that I was just enthralled and I had to play it.
Yeah.
I believe that was where they had the big Street Fighter 2 cabinet, like a giant monitor, and like the controls were like out from the monitor. So
and you had to put your quarter on the side of the cabinet to mark your place in line.
Mm-hmm. That's my quarter.
God, there was a bunch of stuff. I mean, because they had
Did they have the 6-player X-Men game?
No, I think that was at the mall.
They did.
Oh, that was at the mall.
Oh, that was at the mall.
Yeah.
God, I love that
Back
X-Men
when
game.
We had a functioning mall in Corsicana. But there's stuff like Stun Runner and Narc.
Oh, Stun Runner! I played a lot of Stun Runner. That was probably I played that one the most.
Oh yeah, and I remember playing the Simpsons.
What was Stun
arcade.
Runner?
It was like you're like in a tube, and you're like this red vehicle.
Oh, the red. So you had to get on the
kinda,
red vehicle thing.
Yeah, and you would kind of go up on the walls.
Oh heck yeah! I played the heck out of that game.
I remember the name of that one.
Yeah, and I beat the Simpsons arcade game there. That took me a lot of money. I think I made my dad wait so I could beat it against that Mr. Burns robot.
That sounds about right.
And my big games, of course, and I were Street Fighter 2, and I played a lot of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, especially 4.
That was a fun one too.
And that was another one I made my parents wait. It's like, no, I'm Donatello. So that was always my go-to turtle.
Right.
So
mine too.
And I'd sit there and I'd go through and just power through until I died. I remember one guy thought he could beat me at Miss Pac-Man. He bet me $1, the easiest dollar I ever got. He just like died within like 30 seconds, and I'm just like, I'm just like going and going and going. I think I just finally personally gave up and walked away, but I was like, I just ate his score along with everything else.
I remember this one time, I think Bobby and I were hanging out there after school, and we'd out of money from the arcade, and so we went to the game section and we reorganized their video games to how they should have been.
So what was your
organization really technique? Pissed them off.
I bet.
What was your organization technique?
I was trying to remember that when I wanted to tell this story, because I don't think we did it just straight alphabetical. I think we did like genre.
Right. Oh, okay.
So
God, because that was like such a big thing. Because there was like, I think my first 2 games that I ever rented when Movieland started, they sold CDs for a while. I remember that too. Like at the other location, not the one that they settled at and were most known for. But I remember that they sold CDs, and they had like a little slot machine that you could play, where you could get like a movie rental or like a drink or something like that for like a while. It was kind of crazy, but. I remember my first 2 games were Stinger, the shoot 'em up, and Mega Man, because that was like such a big deal. It's like, oh my God, I don't have to pay $60 and drive my dad nuts at the store to go get the next big game.
Right, and then sit and play the one game for months. And
oh yeah,
I had the bad habit of I always wanted the movie tie-in and all the licensed games. And so 9 times out of 10, yeah, and those were the ones I ended up buying. Like I had Friday the 13th NES, and I was stuck playing.
And Rambo and all those other games. It's like they were awful. It's like that was the funny thing about '80s. They marketed all these R-rated films to kids our age. It was like, oh, you like RoboCop, Predator, Total Recall? What? You're only like 9? Oh, that's no problem. We got you covered, bro.
It's all good.
Here's your little toys.
Yeah, because I kind of miss that experience, because there's a lot of stuff that's really changed. Like one of the biggest things I've realized, especially because they still sell physical media these days, but it's weird how the cover arts changed. I actually have a couple things here. This was I bought this because at the time this was my favorite Sega Genesis game. Copy of Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Oh.
Shamon indeed. But look at that art. That's like really cool. He's like, Michael's got like rainbows and like military guys and spaceships. It's like, this was serious business. And it's like today all this would just be the logo and like his head, like super close up. And that's basically all that passes for cover art.
Yeah, and it'd be in sepia tone on one side and blue turquoise on the other.
Oh, that's if they're feeling remotely ambitious. And another thing, because like video art like has become such a thing. There's even like a book about VHS video cover art. John can show a better picture of it, but it's by Thomas Hodge, and it's like it shows like all the crazy like cover art. Like you might remember that movie, The Stuff. Like
yes,
I love The Stuff.
The Stuff was a great movie.
Oh yeah, and then it just had like all the because that was one of the things. It's like everybody could put something out on VHS, and VHS was always the big one. It's like you didn't have to like here's some. Oh, here you go. This is exactly what I was talking. Look at this. Like for kids, Rambo cartoon.
Oh my God.
RoboCop. Yeah, it's like how gory the movies are. It's just absolutely inappropriate, but that's what we grew up on.
But you also have to say, the way that they made the video games back then, they didn't have all the crazy blood that was happening like in Mortal Kombat now and DC.
Yeah.
So the level of gore or extreme
realism
is not what it was back then. So I can kind of see like, yeah, we're punching people, but you're not seeing blood or heads fall off or whatever.
Right.
But I know what you mean. I definitely agree with what you mean.
And then you had stuff like Return of the Living Dead and Chopping Mall, which were just gory as everything. Because, yeah, it's like they completely bathed in gore at that point. It's just like, oh, look, stupid teenagers in a scenario, and everyone's going to die, except maybe the virgin who's going to be in a lifetime of therapy after this. And it's funny how, like, everything evolved. Do you remember the Blockbuster Video Game Championships?
Yes. I never did enter any of them.
I didn't either. I think I had to officiate some when I worked at Blockbuster. I also, this is my guilty confession. I remember when they had, like, those kid safety videos, like when they shoot and, like, you take a video to protect your kid, so, like, if your kid ever got kidnapped, you could do that.
Yeah.
I remember, like, my friends and I, it was mostly Marcus and I, my friend Marcus and I, and we go and, like, would turn up movies like Batman really loud, and then we lip sync, like, actual scenes from the movies, and, like, do a whole choreography. And so, like, I was Batman, of course, because I weighed, like, all of, like, 95 pounds back then. But so we'd reenact scenes from the movies, and then, like, idiots, which, you know, wouldn't fly today, but, you know, we'd show them up on the big screen, and people, of course, wanted to rent that instead of the other movies. Your favorite Blockbuster in place, reenact all your favorite films. That was done even before. That was the whole thing. So yeah, we had a lot of fun with the kid safety video camera.
Going back to the game championship, I found this earlier today.
Nice.
You still have yours? I don't know where mine's at.
That's awesome.
I never needed it. I was so sad.
That was a monumental day in my life.
Yes, it was. Mine too. That was I think my first day I ever actually played hooky from school.
So, here's a question for you, John. Were there any movies that you particularly hated getting back from the Dropbox at Blockbuster?
Not really. The ones that weren't rewound.
Yeah.
But there was sometimes they'd be soggy.
Yeah, the whole box.
Yeah. Yeah, that was gross.
Of course, there were the Cheech and Chong movies, which, like, perpetually always smelled like weed and poop. And that's a whole other thing, because I remember one time Toby was going through the Dropbox at Blockbuster, and someone actually dropped one in the Dropbox.
Oh, what a find.
Why would you transport this is the first real question that comes to mind. It's just...
Well, maybe they didn't.
Maybe it was a gift for y'all.
Why would you put it through this
well, no, can't you
size slot?
Couldn't you,
like,
you push yourself up against it and
hold the door open?
And if there is a way, I don't want to know. But yeah, it's like...
Okay.
It was traumatizing, and that was the whole thing. Is we get some of the weirdest things. The Damp movies blew my mind.
Yeah.
I like, it made you wonder what people did with these movies at home, and they were just horrific. And then you'd, like, I think I actually put some outside to let them air out.
Oh my God.
They smelled.
Yeah, one of those industrial air dryers, and it's just blowing on a bunch of tapes.
Oh yeah, it was like a weird combo of food and eldritch horror or something. It was just toxic. But, you know, they were fun times to definitely work at the movie store. And like I said, just going to the movie store was such a different experience, because you could see all your friends there because they were all looking for some movies, or
right.
You know,
or working there.
Yeah, even when we didn't work there, like, it was just fun going out with your friends and, like, trying to pick out. You know, Blockbuster didn't have you know, any of the hardcore movies. It did have softcore though. I remember a couple of those.
Drama section.
Yes, the
all
drama
the
section.
what was Sharon Tate, or she was on, like, Sharon Tweed.
There was one called Mirror Images, and I remember that movie was awful, but I remember the lead actress was quite attractive, and I don't remember much about that movie past that. But yeah, it was a fun experience, because you go and you get, like, all this weird, like, cult stuff. It was past, like, no pun intended, but, like, the big Blockbuster films of the time, because you could go and find, like, anime and you know, cult films and a lot of things. And I don't really find that experience today. Like
Yeah, you're
going
not
on.
going to find at the Red Box shopping mall, but they carried when before Sling Blade came out and became a huge hit. He actually Billy Bob Thornton did a black and white short called some folks call it a Sling Blade. And
I remember that, yeah.
And Molly Ringwald was in it as a reporter interviewing him. And,
Really?
Yeah, and they had that there, and that's where I discovered that film. And
I remember you showed me that one. Yeah.
But yeah, where would I go to? It'd have to be online or on Netflix or Hulu or something.
And that's the thing is like even the streaming services they don't. It's really hard to find to where you can peruse and find all the really obscure types of
because it's not like
movies.
Everything.
Right, nothing's shelved.
Yeah, you
it's
can't
like
accidentally discover something.
and then you scroll right indefinitely until the end of time, and there's no, like, even if it is like drama or action or animation or whatever, none of it's like in any sort of order. And at least like at Movieland, for example, even Blockbuster, they'd have everything alphabetized, and you don't have that. And I mean, yeah, you can search, but some things you recognize purely by cover.
Right.
And Netflix has this horrible habit of changing the cover image of the movies and TV shows, like, just randomly. And so I'll be looking for something because I'm looking based on the last image I saw, for the cover, and it's a completely different image. And I'm like, why the hell would you do that?
Right.
And Netflix is notorious for sticking the wrong genre or the wrong movie in the wrong genre. I mean, the funniest, the funniest, most recent example is sticking the Babadook, a horror film about depression monsters, in the LGBT section, and as a result, the community runs with it and makes it the symbol of gay pride.
Icon, which is also kind of awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is kind of awesome.
Yeah.
So the Babadook's now a gay pride icon?
Oh, it is.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It's the whole thing.
I didn't hear that.
And I mean, so there's some happy accents. I think another one was my favorite was like in crime and drama, like the serious stuff, Inspector Gadget. I saw that. So Netflix has made some gems, no Babadook level gems, not like that.
Man.
But it's as I said, I think that's one of the saddest thing about not having the video store. It's like you can't really find stuff like, I read somewhere, or I think I saw an interview with Lloyd Kaufman of Trauma Films. He said it's really hard for them to negotiate their movies to get released on Netflix. So you get all these little indie studios, because I mean, like, you look and like anybody could release like pretty much anything on VHS and even to an extent on DVD, but with digital, it's just become harder and harder to find, a lot of these more obscure choices. If you're trying to find something kind of cult, or even like Bad Movie Night, and you want something to mock, it's like they only get popular stuff that people have a general knowing about.
That's it.
Which
got it.
Which is
Bad Movie Night app. This is our Total Geek Live.
Ooh.
This isn't a movie streaming service that we will provide.
Write it down now.
Right now.
But the other thing about you would think that because there's no actual physical copy of movies now, it's all streaming and all whatever, you would think it would be a lot easier to get movies out there and get them, seen by the general public. But you're right, Guy, it's turned to be so much more difficult.
Yeah. Well, here again, I'm just going to bring this up for a point. This is a great opportunity. This is a great example. Why do I still have my VHS copy of Moonwalker hidden in my archives? Because it never came out on DVD.
Really?
Or did?
Oh, yeah, nope.
Never did. And that's like, there was another movie, a 1984 comedy called Electric Dreams. It's like one of my bad 80s romance films that I have a soft spot for. And about a boy and a girl and a computer and a love triangle. So it's kind of an obscure film, but again, only on VHS. I think it's over in the UK, but it's not like over here. It never was released. And it's like, as we go to every new format, there's movie licenses expire, studios go under, things are just lost forever, and there are just certain gems or one-shot things that just they may show up in one format. VHS like literally had everything, but as you go on these new formats, they just don't appear, and even Netflix is pretty bad about, oh, hey, I know you love this TV series, but we're going to yank it at the end of the month, so you better power watch it now or you're not going to see all of it because licenses expire.
That's licensing, yeah.
You get X amount of films on these digital services, and it's not just Netflix. I mean, Hulu and all these other are,
Crackle and
Amazon.
Yeah, and Amazon's a good one, but they don't have everything. I've had numerous cases where it's like, I want to see this movie. I remember this, and no, if it's not popular or if it hasn't been talked about in the last few years or created in the last few years, you just don't find it anymore.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's shelved for indefinitely.
Well, Netflix
Sad.
still offers the ability for physical media, though, don't they?
What's up?
I think they do, depending on what your level is.
Yeah, but I mean, they still offer that. I mean, like if there's more obscure movies that's not streaming, if you up your payment level, you could still get the physical media.
I know they did that. I don't know if they presently do that now. It wouldn't surprise me, but that's becoming an outdated media. Probably about 5 or 10 years. If we still have physical media at that point, I will genuinely be surprised.
Yeah, same here, because it's inventory. That's any type of business that deals with inventory is high costs, and you really want to move towards a service in order to make money. So I'm very surprised that they're still doing it.
Well, they better start putting more memory in the home gaming, and where like I watch a lot of my stuff off my PS4. I know a lot of people watch it off their Xbox, ones and 360s and all that. Everything going digital, we need memory for that.
Yeah.
You want us to buy your digital movies? Well, I want to be able to own more than one or three.
Yeah.